You can feel your irritation slipping out during everyday repairs, and it's quietly turning friendly moments into friction. A small issue is the exact emotion leak keeping your neighborhood interactions from getting better, and fixing the loop starts before you even speak. Emotion leaks in neighborhood repair talks are not random. They show up when someone tries to mask discomfort. Then the face runs a beat behind the script. Paul Ekman built the facial action coding system with 44 named facial action units, like a labeling system for tiny muscle moves. When people cover how they feel, the muscles involved in real emotion can still fire briefly, even if the words say something else. That mismatch is what makes trust wobble in public, especially when you are asking for help or offering it. Notice how the smallest facial shift can contradict the tone, even while someone keeps their words calm. The leak is often fast and partial, so your mind reads it as meaning instead of detail. Then your brain treats the repair moment like a threat check, not a simple transaction. In everyday exchanges, hiding emotion is a second job. You manage your face and voice while your body keeps running the original emotion underneath. James Gross studied emotion regulation by comparing strategies like reappraisal with suppression using lab tasks where people see upsetting material and then try to control what shows. Suppression tends to reduce outward expression but increases internal strain. So the body can still signal discomfort through posture, breathing, or voice tension. If you ever forced yourself to keep smiling during a bad call with a contractor, you already know the feeling. Notice how your voice tightens when you try to hold back a reaction you still feel. That tightening is an example of a leak loop. It starts as a control your face, but it ends as your body reports the emotion anyway. The repair interaction becomes a timing race. One person tries to synchronize words and feelings, and the other person watches for the moment they fail to line up. Masking often fails on timing. People can shape a sentence, but they cannot fully stop a fast emotional reflex. Paul Ekman and colleagues described microexpressions as very brief involuntary facial expressions. A commonly cited timing estimate is about 1/25 of a second, which is too quick for most people to explain, but not too quick for your perception to register as something is off. In a neighborhood repair exchange, that speed matters because the conversation is already compressed by noise distance and uncertainty. Track how a brief facial flash can change what your brain predicts. You might not consciously name the emotion, but your trust system still updates. Then you hear the same apology or explanation as less reliable, even if the words match your expectations. The leak loop forms when the other person responds to your doubt. They raise their effort to look fine, which adds more internal strain, which creates more nonverbal inconsistency. Not all leaks live in the face. Your body also leaks through arousal, and arousal can show up in how eyes and voice behave. Daniel Kahneman and John Beatty linked pupil dilation to mental effort, showing that pupils tend to widen when people expend cognitive. This is not a lie detector, and it is not magic. It is a measurable body response to strain, like your eyes changing size when a task suddenly becomes hard. Consider how your pupils feel like they are getting bigger when you stare at a complicated receiver. In repair talks, the mental load spikes when someone is worried about being judged, blamed, or dismissed. If they are masking, the effort rises even more, and that effort can creep into eye behavior and voice cadence. Your neighbor does not need to know the science for your mind to use the signal. The loop turns "I am working hard to sound okay" into "oh, they are not actually okay." A small nonverbal mismatch can outweigh the whole explanation. That is because people form impressions from tiny time windows, not full narratives. Nalini, Ambady and Peter Rosenthal reviewed how strangers make reliable social judgments from thin slices, short segments of behavior. Even brief exposure can predict outcomes like performance ratings because the brain tracks patterns fast. In a neighborhood interaction, you rarely get long, clean data. You get a few seconds at the door, a quick glance over a tool, and a tone that either matches or conflicts with the face. Revisit a remembered clip and notice how different wording shifts confidence. When emotion leaks, your judgment window catches the conflict between words and body. Then your repair conversation starts with lower trust, which changes how you interpret every next detail. That is how a repair loop forms even when nobody says, "I do not trust you." Trust is already moving in the background. Emotion leaks often travel through coordination. When people mirror each other, the interaction feels safer, even if nobody discusses emotions directly. A classic line of work by Tanya Chartrand and Bargh showed that people tend to mimic others' behaviors. The chameleon effect, and that this mimicry can influence how connected people feel. The key is timing. Mimicry works best when micro-behaviors land close to each other, in rhythm, like matching your steps to someone walking beside you. Notice how changing your rhythm makes an interaction feel stiff. In a repair exchange, one person may rush words to fix the situation while their face and posture lag behind. The other person unconsciously tries to follow, but they feel the mismatch as tension. Once coordination breaks, both people react. The person masking gets more effort-driven strain. The person watching gets more uncertainty, and that uncertainty pushes the next moment into a new misalignment. Repairs fail when the problem turns into the person. In neighborhood life, a tool mistake can quickly become a status threat. Erving Goffman described face work as the ways people protect their social identity during interaction. When you offer a repair, you are not just fixing a thing. You are making a claim about competence and goodwill. Notice how an apology can sound smaller than the embarrassment underneath. If emotion leaks, make competence feel uncertain, the apology no longer restores face. It becomes another signal that the relationship is unstable. Then the loop tightens. The person receiving the repair interprets the leak as disrespect or incompetence, even without intent. The person providing the repair tries harder to look composed, and the nonverbal mismatch grows. Nonverbal leakage works like a timing alarm when behavior violates expectations. Judee Burgoon's expectancy violations research looked at how people react when social cues do not match what they expect in a given situation. Your brain uses expectations as a baseline for meaning. When behavior lands outside that baseline, attention sharpens and doubt spikes. Consider how an apology with a different posture creates surprise. In a repair moment, a neighbor named Mark says, "I hear you," while his shoulders stay rigid and his gaze flicks away mid-sentence. The words fit the moment, so your mind starts searching for why the body does not. The search is fast, and it makes the mismatch feel bigger than it is. That is the seed of the loop. If you keep correcting only the spoken content, the expectancy mismatch persists. Mark may say the right words again, yet his posture times a disagreement too clearly. The neighborhood conversation keeps orbiting the same unresolved signal.